Yeah, we're live. I finally made it. This is quite an adventure. As you can see, I'm at WESTECH Performance, and not only that, I have a Pontiac, so it's other guys' time. It was a little bit of an adventure, though. I was driving down today from Northern California to Southern California, and before I did, the AC went out on my truck. And just for those who are keeping tabs, it was 108 degrees. Very nice trip. I probably lost 50 pounds. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when I got bugs flying around here and gnats. It reminded me of when I used to drive my Sprint to WESTECH from Las Vegas. Very hot there, very hot in between, very hot here, obviously in Southern California. Also, with no AC and just having the fan on, blowing hot air, it was exactly like that in the truck. The truck has tinted windows. Like I said, in the middle of California there, like at the Love's truck stop where I stopped, Lost Hills in that area, it was 108. Super nice. So I had to stop and get gas, get a frosty cold beverage. It was all good. But I'm here and I made it, and that which does not kill you makes you stronger. And I brought a Pontiac with me. It'll be a good story. Hopefully everything will work out. I'm going to try to put it up on the dyno tonight. We'll see what happens, and hopefully it'll run and work. It belongs to a friend of the family. My son plays soccer with her son, the young lady, and unfortunately her husband passed away. And while he was rebuilding this 69 GTO, he had this 400, and so we don't know that much about it. But I told her what she wants to do is get that motor running and get it in the car so that her kids obviously can enjoy that as a tribute to her dad, which is kind of an awesome deal. So I told her, yes, no problem. I will get that motor. We'll do whatever we need to do, and we'll get it running and put it up on the dyno. Just make sure that it is what it is, and it's going to go in there, and they'll be able to drive it around, which is totally cool. So hopefully, fingers crossed that it will. It's together. The heads are on it, and I have an intake for it, and the distributor. I think I have most of the parts. There is also a camshaft there, and maybe we can do a cam swap if it just has the stock cam in it. Like I said, we don't know a whole lot about it, but it is a 400, or at least says 400 on the block. It's got 6X heads on it. I need to see exactly which ones they are. Probably what I'm thinking is that this is probably a low compression 400 with maybe a stock cam in it. I haven't even taken the valve covers off yet to see if it has valve springs in it. But there are valve springs as part of a kit that he had bought while he was gathering parts together, like we do when we're getting stuff ready for our project. So there's a cam there, there are springs, there are lifters, there's a Holley carburetor. There's also a factory intake, both a factory 2-barrel and a factory 4-barrel intake, which is one of the things that I would like to test. I would like to compare that. It has a 2-barrel intake and a 2G Rochester. He also has the 4-barrel factory 4-barrel iron intake manifold and a quadrajet. And then he also had a Holley carburetor there, or a might be a quick fuel carburetor, and which we will run with an adapter going from the 4150 style flange to the quadrajet flange. There is also another motor that they have, which is a 350 that's in the car that's running around. And that one actually has the aluminum intake, which will eventually go on this. But I called my buddy Andy, and he said that he has or might have access to an Edelbrock intake manifold, which would be a good test to put on there. Because I'd like to try it and see. Because if this thing is low compression, like I think it is, it's going to need a little bit of help in terms of camshaft. And I'll have to check and see. I haven't even looked to see what the cam specs are. I'm hoping that it's something mild, 220-ish or something that will fit. And I'm hoping that the springs that are there, it'd be nice if the head already has springs on it, but I kind of doubt that given the fact that there's a new set there. I'm hoping that the springs and retainers and stuff are there and it will go on. And as long as it just requires a spring swap, which is not too bad, even on the dyno, that's not terrible. And I'm also hoping that it's the same base circle, so maybe we don't have to worry about changing the push rod length. So we'll see. But there's a lot of stuff there, so we'll find out whether or not all of that's going to work. Also, when I got here down to WESTECH, I found out that a couple of things have arrived for me. I got 2 camshafts from my good buddies over at Elgin, and they supplied 2 camshafts for the 2.2 liter Dodge turbo motor, which will be interesting. They had some still sitting there in stock, and he said, yes, I will send them to me. So and maybe tomorrow we'll talk about those camshafts and what they are and what the specs are on them. And so we'll be able to run those hopefully. The other camshaft that I got that arrived is my custom camshaft for the 3800 for the Big Bang. So that is there, and then we'll read off the specs again. We can take a look at that in depth tomorrow. I also, which is also interesting and kind of surprising, obviously for me, is that I got there's a box there from the guys at Craftsman, and I remember getting an email from somebody from Craftsman. I thought it was a scam, so I sent them the thing back that said yes, whatever. But I got the guys from, apparently they were from Craftsman, so thank you very much, Craftsman people, and we'll be doing some stuff with it. But they reached out and said, hey, we want to send you something to celebrate Craftsman's 75, 95, whatever years in business. And so we like what you're doing. And so we want to send you this thing. And I'm like, this sounds like somebody's trying to get my information or whatever. But I'll tell them to send it to WESTECH, and then we'll see what happens. And then I forgot about it. And then when I got here, lo and behold, there's some cool stuff from Craftsman. So we'll take a look at that stuff. And it's stuff that I'll actually do. So it is kind of cool. What else is over there? We've got also when Elgin sent the camshafts for the 2.2 liter Dodge, they also, it looks like, sent a couple of LS cams. So if they sent LS cams, naturally we'll try to run that. We have the we'll see right over here. We've got the LS with the Ford blower on it. Couple of big blocks, couple of big blocks, couple of big blocks. Another Ford over there though. And then you can see, can we see way over there? No, we can't see that. We can't really see the Pontiac, but I'll maybe walk over there. I'm just letting my thing charge up here a little bit. So the poll for today, even though I'm late, we'll still have a poll. The poll is, will the Pontiac, this is a 400, we think, will the Pontiac 400 make more than 300 horsepower? So we'll see what people think. Will the Pontiac 400 make more than 300 horsepower? So remember, this is a Pontiac 400 of unknown internals. I'm thinking that it's stock. Probably a flat top piston is the way most of them came. I haven't even taken the plugs out to look and see what's in there. I'm assuming that it's a flat top piston. It does have a 6X head, probably a late model head that's going to have a big combustion chamber. So again, we're thinking low compression. It's definitely not an early like 670 head. It has a cast iron intake manifold, and it will run it with a quadrijet, but also with that other quick fuel carburetor. If we get the other intake, we'll run that, and then we might also run the camshaft. But the way that it is, and it's stock, will it make more than 300 horsepower? We're thinking as a 400, it should make decent torque anyway, but will it make more than 300 horsepower? So let's take a look and see. We'll see what people think. I'm trying to hydrate from my from my 7-hour hot sauna in the truck. Oh, that was super fun. And by super fun, I mean not really. Let's see where we are on our battery here. We're still kind of charging. I'm gonna maybe roll this thing over a little closer. See what we got going on. We'll go over and hopefully take a look at the Pontiac. We got the Ford blower motor, which will probably get. I'm gonna try to do the 302 Mustang engine with some more of the Summit letter kit. So we'll try to do that while I'm down here. I'm gonna try to run the L83 with twin max speeding turbos on it. Not really high. I just want to get the thing running because I have the Fowler Speed or Fowler Engineering exhaust manifolds, which I've never run. So I want to run those with 2 of the max speeding turbos on it. So I'd like to configure all of that and at least get it working. And you know, even if we only run 7 or 8 pounds or whatever, because the thing still has no ring gap in it. But I'd like to do that and get it running and make it work. So that way I have a different twin turbo setup than the one that I usually configure for Big Bang stuff with the big CX Racing intercooler and all that stuff. I'd like to configure another twin turbo setup for it and just get it running with those other exhaust manifolds, because I've never tried those. And then I might also, with those exhaust manifolds, configure another single setup. And that might be a good one to do a test on the effectiveness of Y pipe size, because it might be fairly simple. I can even weld this up to do a couple of different Y pipes in different sizes, like a 2-inch and a 2.5 and a 3, maybe. Guys that are invariably going to want, oh, but what about 2 1/4, and what about 2 3/4 or whatever? We'll just do the 2 or 3 of the sizes, maybe a 2-inch and maybe a 3-inch, maybe a 2.5, and see if it does anything. Quite honestly, I don't expect much. I think that the turbo, especially if we use a smaller turbo, that the turbo itself is more limiting than the size of the Y pipe. I think that would change things more. And I think you probably would see more from a change in response rate of the size of the Y pipe as we go larger and larger in turbo, where that's no longer the issue, where the Y pipe then itself might be something. But that's why we test. So we'll try that. And so we've got that, we've got the Ford, and I've got the Pontiac. And I think that that's probably what I will be able to get done during this trip. So I have my fingers crossed. Hopefully the Pontiac cooperates and it just goes up and runs. So we'll do the things that we normally do on the Pontiac. We will, I've got to configure it. We'll put it up. We'll put oil in it. If it doesn't have oil in it, we'll take the distributor out. I think a Pontiac is the same as a Chevrolet. In that regard, we'll spin the pump, make sure that the pump is working, and then make sure that we have oil pressure. If we do, I want to obviously check all of the rockers and make sure that they're all adjusted properly. It's a hydraulic flat tapping cam. I don't even know if it's a new one or not, if it will maybe break it in just in case, and see if it's working. It looks, and what I was told is that it is a used, at least the short block part of it, I think, was a used running motor. So that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping is there. And maybe even the heads were also, that was also a used running motor. So that's what I'm hoping. So we'll put it up, make sure it has oil pressure. If it does, we'll do a cranking compression, make sure it has cranking compression, make sure that's all even. And then if it does that, if it passes those two tests, then it already has a water pump and everything on it. So, and it has because we don't have a Mazir electric water pump for a Pontiac. So it has a mechanical water pump on it. It has the belt, it has an alternator, so we'll run that. And then if it passes all those tests, we'll put the intake manifold on and put a carburetor on it, put a distributor on it, and just see if it fires up. And if it fires up, we'll see if it runs. And then we'll tune it and do all the things that we do, just try jetting if it's necessary. With the Quadrajet, we'll try needles. And then if everything goes well, we'll try the different things. We'll try a 2-barrel and a 4-barrel. And I didn't bring, I do have, or she did have cast iron exhaust manifolds. I didn't bring those. There is a set of headers for it. I would like to test that later on, and I may be putting together another one of these to do some more testing. Ultimately, I would like to, if I had a Pontiac to test with, I would like to try Edelbrock heads. I'm told that they're quite a bit better than the factory heads are. So, and I would like to test that and make sure that that's the case. So it would be cool to have a Pontiac that makes, that we take from maybe even sub 300 horsepower with a 2-barrel and stock cam, and then show how to make, 350, 400, 450, 500 kind of thing, as we step up in camshaft. Ultimately, I think it would be cool to have Edelbrock heads on it and a hydraulic roller, and then a RPM air gap and a 750 or 850 carburetor or whatever, and just show the kind of things that we normally do. That's the thing. And the Edelbrock heads are available with smaller chambers also, which would help with static compression, because they're going to need static compression. Because the heads on here, I was told by Andy that this thing might have a static compression in the 7s. It might be in the high 7s. He said, so it might be good for boost. So if I put together a Pontiac and we put it together with something that's a sub 8-to-1 static compression, obviously it has to get at least 7 pounds of boost or something in a Pontiac, because, a turbo Pontiac, I don't actually have like a turbo 301 Pontiac, but a turbo 400 would certainly suffice. It would work good. So we'll take a quick walk over there and I'll show you the Pontiac. I'll probably have to get back to my umbilical cord. In fact, I might take that with me here. Yeah, it's charging pretty good because I can feel there's there's some heat in the charger. So we'll take a walk over here, over here, and we're walking and we're walking and we're walking. So here is our Pontiac. Fancy valve covers. It's kind of cool. Looks nice. It's painted the right color. Got an HEI on it. A chrome alternator. I like the way that it looks. It's dressed up nice. We also have some Flowtech headers. That's the 4-barrel intake right there. Right over there. 2-barrel intake. Good stuff. Got a box full of other stuff. Got the carburetor and that kind of stuff there. So I'm going to see if I can plug you guys in here. And then maybe we can do a little chat over here, over here. Let's see here. Got an extension cord. Are we in business? Yes, we are. Okay. And walking, walking. Here we go. So this is our Pontiac. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sweet. I'm going to grab the other carburetor, show you what that is. Yeah, it is. It's quick fuel. It's be good. Vacuum secondary. Got a choke on it, so it's going to be a good street carburetor. The other one is, I think it's probably the factory Quadrajet. Strib, D-strib. Yeah, racy Q-jet. Whoa. Whoa. Wait for it. Whoa. Super cool. And then for the crazy power, go. Yeah, 2G madness. Whoa. Look at that. Yeah, throaty. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So hopefully this is a runner because it'll match that 2-barrel intake manifold. That'll be good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see if I can get you guys elevated a little bit. So we can check out. There we go. That's better. That's gonna be better. Oh. There we go. Now we're good. Now we're looking good. Flamethrower. Okay, guys. How about that? Pretty nice looking. So here's the question. How much more is the 4-barrel manifold going to make than the 2-barrel? That should have been our poll question. So let's see what guys are doing here. So the question for tonight is, will the Pontiac 400 make more than 300 horsepower? 65% saying yes and 35% saying no. Yeah. Big crazy power. See, I'm more used to the the 2-barrel, you know, looking like it came from a wrecking yard kind of thing. Gotta get a good angle there. Got some gauge to lean to it though. So I need to take that thing off and take it apart and see if there are any. I just need to make sure that there are indeed rockers and push rods and things underneath those valve covers. I haven't even looked under there. I haven't pulled any of the plugs out to see if they're. Well, they're all tight. That's good. Got nice plug wires. Those are all fancy. It's got an HEI in it right now. We have that other flamethrower, and there's actually another small cap distributor in there also, I think. So, and then the camshaft that we want to put in is a Crowder 280. So let's see what our part number is. Crowder part number, look, cam card. 60242 is the part number. And we have 455 intake lift, 468 exhaust lift, and 221, 229 duration split. Lobe lift is 303, 312. Lobe separation is 112. So it will be that will be a good streetable cam in a 400. 221 degrees of intake duration is not a lot. 112, it's gonna idle nice. It's only a 455, 468 lift, so and it's a hydraulic flat tappet. So I think it probably, it should work fine. Assuming that our spring package works, which it should. Okay, so let's take a look at our spring package. Box of stuff here. Bolts, lifters. I don't see our springs in there. Got our timing meter. Whoa! So, I don't know, we'll figure it all out. See what happens. We got some questions for you guys tonight. Let's see. 4-barrel equals plus 35 horsepower. It's probably a pretty good guess. I've run 2-barrel, 4-barrel stuff before, not on a Pontiac because I've never done that, but I have run it on small block Chevys, and that's about what it was. It's 30, 35-ish, at least on that, starting out with a fairly mild combination. I think that thing was only making 240 horsepower or something. It was pretty small. The Coles, you think the 2-barrel makes close to the 4-barrel numbers? I don't think that's going to be the case, but we'll see. The stock 1970 400 made 350 horsepower. Yeah, this is later than that. So this is a 6X. think it's an 8. These come out. I have to pull them out and see. Okay. Yeah, so we'll see. If it's low compression, it's going to be hard, and a mild cam. Two-barrel will chop 100 horsepower off the aluminum intake. That would be a lot. I know, seatbelts. I know normally the motors, obviously this one's not a seatbelt motor, and maybe it was originally. Maybe it just got a Krylon job, but it looks a lot better than the stuff that I normally get. This thing's actually nice looking. Yes, it definitely is a turbo cam. Game night. I have a 6-liter LS. I want a Holley Terminator, but it should I get a carb or intake? What's the difference? I don't know what you're asking. Are you asking whether you should run the EFI or carbureted? Compression is everything with a Pontiac. It could be anything, depends on the head that you bolt on there. A lot of interchangeable parts. Debating Pontiac 461 or LS. It has a 6X head on it. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is. I'm not really a Pontiac guy. It's everybody's favorite Pontiac engine. Well, the biggest one, right? Or the Ram Air 27. The Gen 2 LT1 needs fuel injection. Fuel injectors. What injector should I buy? Well, the injector that you put in should be relative to the power output that you need. And obviously it's going to be, if you're running a stock rail and stuff, it needs to be sized correctly for the length of the thing and the injector O-ring sizing. Carb EFI or stock LS EFI intake manifold for Holley Terminator. So carb EFI, you're talking about a throttle body, right? Carb and EFI to me don't go together. So are you talking about a throttle body injection versus port injection? In the intake manifold, the LS EFI intake manifold will make more power because all of the carbureted intake manifolds don't do as well on a cathedral port LS as the EFI stuff does, as well as the long runner stuff does. Can we see under the shiny things under the valve covers? Yeah, I'd have to go get Allen's for that. Looks like late 60s D ports, not 6Xs. Do you guys want to look at the heads? Would that help? Somebody could tell me what they are. Take a look and see. Got a 6 and an 8 here. Some stuff here. Got a 6 and 2. Got this. Here are the ports. Other side, same thing. Date codes. Okay. Yeah, there is a fan going in the background. 421 Super Duty. '73 Grand Am 400, like 185 horsepower. 326. Yeah, the fan is it's struggling a little bit. Considering single plane intake with an 870 Holly. Do Rickport LS heads fit on old ponchos? That'd be good, huh? The Cat's Garage, are you talking about these cylinder heads? Yeah, if you build a Pontiac, upgrade to a single piece rear main. I was told the nice thing about the Pontiac, I like that if we do a cam swap, we don't have to take the pan. That's kind of nice. So these are early heads on this. That would be cool if they are. And there we have other heads that probably were accumulated during this process too. Yeah, Cole, that's what I'm told, that the Edelbrock heads are a big change for these compared to any of the stock heads. And especially if you were going from a large chamber late model head to a small chamber Edelbrock head, because you'd have compression and you'd have flow, so it'd be a much better deal. Painted your 6-liter LS this color to match the Catalina. Nice touch. So, Cats, do you think that this is a 69 head? That these are 69 heads? That would be cool if they are. It's not my engine case. It's going back in the car, or going in a car. I built a 455, 462, 10.5 to 1, 622 horsepower, 574 foot-pounds. That's good. The intake is holding it back, and the carb. Yeah, the factory stuff definitely will. I know Andy said that the air gap worked really well. I don't know what size. Quick fuel carburetor. See the size of that is. That's going to be fine for this combination. The two numbers that are on the center of it are 6 and 2, which I didn't think that the 6 I know, but the 2 I didn't know. Russell, I haven't seen that e-charger thing that you're talking about. This is a classic Pontiac 400 from the muscle car era. Nice. Ooh, 10-to-1, big valves. That will be cool if it is. And like I said, I have no idea if it has a cam already in it. I don't think so, because this one was sitting there and this one hasn't been put in, brand new. Yeah, it says it has, those have 6s and 2s in them. That's why I showed you guys the thing. A GM crosser. You could put I think a tri-powerable bolt on there, right? Like a 389. Yeah, Charles, the 303s that they did for the Trans Am series are probably hard to come by. I don't know if it's a 60, if the whole engine is a 69. It might be. Where are the casting numbers on the block? It definitely is a 400. Have access to D271 on the back, and then a 481988. 481988, Niner 56 Whiskey Alpha Foxtrot Zulu, Xerxes Narwhal. The engineer should be raised 2 numbers next to the distributor. $71 on the block. $71. Perfect engine for the kid with the Nova. For Oliver, yeah. Well, I'm happy that those are high compression heads. That will work out much better. Mike's in the house. So the Chronic, you think that the tri-power would make less than the factory 4-barrel? That is a test I would like to do. I'd like to see if that's the case. No reason this can't make 350 to 360. It's all now going to do, if he has the compression and does have that head on it, that intake obviously I think is going to hold it back a little bit, but it's going to depend on the camshaft. I have no idea what camshaft is in it. How do we know it's a 400? The block says 400 on the Pontiacs. Have you tested an LS with a little more compression, like 10.5 or 11? Lots of LS3s have that already, but with low boost and good fuel. I remember someone testing an LS1 Tech with snappy results. We've turbocharged lots of LS3s with that static compression, so that works. The LS3 crate motor that I tested with a cam at 7 pounds made over 800. Will the 400 outperform the Boss? I don't know. I think it depends on which 400 you pick, and then is that a small block? The block on the 400 is a 71. The heads apparently are not 71. They're early 69s or 68s. Yeah, Russell, if you take a look, that video's up. Just if you search for it, take a look at Turbo LS3. Or scope for the crosshatch. So we're at 75% yes, which means 25% saying no. Will this thing make more than 300 horsepower? People are changing their vote now that they know it has high compression heads on it. Dan, I have a 402 LS with stock LS3 heads. We'll have it on the Dyno soon. Should get 550 to 600. Yeah, if it has a cam in it, that displacement, that head should do that. William, the stock 4-barrel manifold you have regularly supports 400 to 450 horsepower without mods, according to others. Again, that's why I want to test it. Pontiac 400 versus an Olds 403 versus a Chevy 400. I hope you're not talking about stock ones. The Chevy 400 is not going to do very well. Chevy 396 versus a Mopar 400. Have you got your hands on one of the new 6.6 gas engines? I don't have one of those. TSB Stage 2 cam. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what the specs are on the Stage 2 cam, but if it's in the mid 220s or something, then yeah, 550 horsepower is not going to be a problem. Yeah, Dan, this is the garage in the new house. Any chance on plastic an AMC? I would like to. I just have never searched for one. This engine's going in a car. It's going in a 69 GTO, I think. So they like 520 lift, but not 600 lift. After 480 lift, you can throw away the valve because they don't flow. Stock 1970 Chevy 400 would do okay with a 4-barrel added. All of the 400s had really, really small camshafts in them. Stock 400 with 62 cylinder heads would have had 9066 cam, 273, 282, 406 lift. 273, 282 that would be pretty good size camshaft. Trying to get the lighting better here. It doesn't like all this white back here. The garage looks big enough to put in a dyno or two. Yeah, no, I know he's giving advertised numbers. I realize that, but I know what that translates to. That's still a fairly good. That's a fairly decent stock camshaft. I tuned in when you're holding up the 2-barrel. Yeah, we didn't. I wasn't asking about what the 2-barrel. Robert, I don't know what the internals are. I don't know what the camshaft is. It's just a mystery right now. So we're going to walk back over to the bench. So we have a little bit better lighting. Somebody asked if there's any way they can help. I don't know. I don't know what you can do. And we're back. We're back to blue. Man, that charger's getting warm. Charging it up. Charging it up, Buttercup. Get my frosty cold beverage. Okay, let's get to some questions before it gets too late. Is this out of the T-37? No, this is... Dan, yeah, 229, 244, okay. Pontiac's cam considerably different than Chevy engines, and why would that be? Are the heads that much different? Are the Pontiac heads better? Or I just have never played with them at all. What's the lift capacity on the forklift? I don't know. I'd have to walk over and look at it. There's a shelf there on the counter. The small block 400 has the same cam as the 300 horse 327. Really? $350 Buick Pontiac really wasn't that great when you get to 400 or 455. When you say other guys, I figured it was Steve's and Dave's. No, this is not. Just the other guys is anything other than LS, really. Pontiacs work exactly like a Cleveland. I don't think that would be the case, because I don't think a Pontiac has that kind of intake flow. Dan, did you fix the AC in the truck? No, you weren't here at the beginning, right? When I was talking about it being 108 while I was driving down here with no AC. It was super fun. All right, Cole, you're out, man. Late. I'm saying it'll make 320. I just don't see him putting together 400 Pontiac without a cam. Well, we have a cam for it. I just want to run the stock first. Or, well, we don't even know if it's stock. We just want to run it the way that it is. Maybe it'll be fine the way that it is without the camshaft. Yeah, 108. That was in the middle of California. Russell, a Brody knob on a forklift is kind of mandatory, right? Wish you had an Olds 403 to put up against it. I wouldn't really put anything up against it because I don't even know what this is. So if I had something that I put together that I knew what was inside of it, but I knew it had stock pistons, I knew kind of where they were, how far they were in the hole, whether that was like factory-ish, and could put together an Olds 403. I think that if you look at the Trans Am stuff, I don't think an Olds 403 was making the power that the 400 Pontiac did. And were there any Olds 403 Oldsmobiles that made good power? Were there any years where they actually did well? Pontiac heads have awesome flow for them, but does a Pontiac head flow anywhere near what a Cleveland head does? That's the kind of thing I was talking about. Dave, you'll be surprised. I bet over 400 foot-pounds of torque. I would be surprised if it didn't do that, especially if it has the early heads on it. It has compression in it. A 400 shouldn't have any problem making 1 foot-pound per cubic inch. That should be pretty simple. In fact, you'd like to get 1 horsepower per cubic inch, but that takes a little bit more doing. That takes a little bit more camshaft to get that. Do the Brawler carbs use the same jets as the Hollies? I think that they do. Pontiac, stock Pontiac big valve is about 210 to 215 CFM. So it's more like a small block Chevy than a Cleveland, right? Jesse, you have a 401 nailhead and runs surprisingly well. 445 Wildcat. Is there a new factory motor that you're dying to test? Lots of people want me to test the Godzilla motor. I don't know how new that is anymore. Gonna need a lot of duration for the Pontiac camshaft. Yeah, especially if it has cylinder heads that only flow that much. That's not really very much. Yeah, Dan, that was the nice thing about going up the Grapevine today is it cooled right off to 94. But that was still better than 108. Richard, I started watching your videos on the 4200. Hopefully I get to do more. I want to run some more stuff with those. What's your opinion of the difference between an early big block, I'm assuming, and an early Hemi in near stock cars? I don't know. I don't know. I thought that I thought that was kind of hard to get the Hemi to stay in tune, is what I'm told. Although I don't know why that would be. I don't know if they had there's something about them that were problematic. I don't. The Hemi was not rated as much power as the LS6 was, right? And the Hemis would have been earlier than that anyway, right? They would have been more 427 big blocks. Yeah, William, I'm going to do the 2-barrel and the 4-barrel just because if I have them and they both work, I'm assuming that the 2-barrel does. And, you know, even if the accelerator pumps are bad or whatever, or dried up and have holes in them, at wide open throttle, it might still be okay. It's the dry heat. It was hot. Russell, I was thinking about that while I was going up the Grapevine, that how much I would like to have a camera in the engine bay and see what the exhaust manifolds look like, even on my truck, which is just a 5.3. But I did have to drop it down a gear, you know, whoa, kick it down to passing gear. Yeah, I don't really have any. I mean, there's a Hemi over here that with a blower on a blown Hemi, because if you're going to have a Hemi, it's got to have a blower on it. I've never even run one on the dyno, they've run them here, but and not even a lot of, other than I think Freiberger and Dulcich have run Hemis here, but I've never run one. I've never put one together. I have zero experience with them. Six miles an hour. That's pretty good. Didn't every street Hemi come with dual quads? I think that's the way they came, right? Yeah, I don't know how efficient the Hemi chamber design is. Not if you read all the SAE papers, it's not a very good chamber design. Certainly not good for emissions. That's yeah. I saw Engine Masters did the 440 versus the Hemi. The problem with all of these things is it's really hard to get it to be like, you know, same thing everyone says, apples to apples. Yeah, Dan, that's right. The Hemi heads did flow. Does a stock 426 Hemi head flow more than a big block Chevy head? I don't know what the flow rate is of a. I don't know how they compare. Get somebody to donate a set of Pontiac Ram Air 4 heads and test them against Ram 4 Edelbrock heads. I think a Hemi could benefit from two plugs, certainly to get, because the distribution's got to be bad in that chamber, and especially with with the dome the way that they have it. No valve shrouding with Hemi heads. That's true. I literally dynoed a 2.5 Lima with dual plug heads with all plugs firing and then only 4. And it did nothing. But that's not a 426 Hemi though, right? That's not the one that we're talking about. We're not talking about universally Hemis. Richard, what would be your ideal high weight, reliable Grapevine engine? It would be a turbo diesel with lots and lots of like excessive like heat exchangers on it. I don't know what Pro Stock is running right now. Dan might know if you know what Pro Stock motors are running. I don't think it's 18-1. Those stocks are at 17-1. Curious, do you own a 60s or 70s muscle car? I have an 88 5-liter Mustang LX. Does that count as a muscle car? And they do have a car from the 70s, but it's a 240Z. But my first car was a 70.5 split bumper Camaro. The Z counts as a muscle car. Not really, but it is a 70s car. It made 150 horsepower. That's a lot, right? Alberta, Canada's in the house. We got 2 more minutes. You sold the split bumper? Yeah, when I got it back in 1980. I got rid of my Camaro to buy a Z. This was back in, I think I sold the Camaro in 81 or 82, probably. Mustangs became muscle cars again when the 3-valve engines came out. They weren't with the OG 5 liters. They only made 225 horsepower, which is not a lot, but Super Speedway were stricter plate cars. Yeah, they had lots of compression in them. They're trying to get all that squeeze because they didn't have enough airflow. This is a 350Z trumpet engine. You have LV3 data. I've never run an LV3 here. I had a 78 Z28. I got beat by a 78 Z28 in my Camaro. Yes, make sure you hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. That's my bottle flip. It's pretty good, huh? Devin, the comment was, and this will be the last one for tonight, I got to get going. Love your videos in the future. Could you possibly do turbocharge a 340 Mopar, which is hard to find, or this would be more likely, a 318 or 360? I have a Dodge 360, which we will definitely run a turbo on. It's a Magnum, but it's definitely going to get boost in the near future. I'm already kind of setting it up because we've already done the piston flip on it, which did nothing. And now I'm going to piston flip it back to its original position. And then when I do, I'm going to put ring gap in it. And I'm specifically putting ring gap in it to get to be able to run boost with it. So probably the next time I come down, I think I'm going to do Dodge stuff. All I need, I have a camshaft from the guys at UT Awesome. They also sent their Kegger mod stuff. We probably will run that. I have a RPM air gap for it. I also have one for the 8.1. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. If you do a basic do-it-yourself port blueprint on OEM heads, what's the difference versus aluminum with professional porting? What heads are you talking about? If you're talking about LS heads, you can take a look at the video that I just put up where we set up ported stock heads, and they were done professionally by the guys at Total Engine Airflow, so kind of as good as you can get, versus a set of aftermarket heads, Airflow Research in this case. And the Airflow Research were 245, so they were really good heads. And even on our combination, which wasn't a full race kind of thing, the airflow research heads made a bit more power, but not a ton more. So for your average kind of street car, I think ported stock heads probably are a better way to go. Would you say you are a Ford enthusiast? No, I'm an engine enthusiast. That's why I have an LS and a Pontiac here, and that's another LS and a Ford and a Chevy Sprint and a Cadillac and another 347 Pontiac and a 4200 and a Slant 6, and I just like all the engines. And I want more, but I have to finish what I have. I have to finish what's on my plate first before I can have dessert. 3.9 Magnum with turbocharging, that would be good. They're all good. Have you ever wrenched on a Porsche 3-liter four-cylinder? Oh, the 968 motors? No, but I do like that chassis. I like the 944s, the 944 turbos, the 968s, and then the 968 turbo would be even better. But I haven't ever taken one of those apart. I have done work on a 924 turbo or 924 that I wish was a turbo, and also I had a 72 911T. I'm unlikable. I get that a lot, mostly from family. Yeah, the 968s, the 3-liter Porsches definitely had balance shafts. That's big for a 4-cylinder. 318 stroker to a 392. I didn't know you could go that big on a 318. They made a rare 56 347 Pontiac NASCAR edition with high compression heads and dual quad and an extra fuel injection. Yeah, I have a 57 347. They were available with tri-power. They're also available with fuel injection. They went crazy back then with multiple carburetors on a lot of stuff. Owned a 72 911, it didn't kill you. No, that's because the rod knock that it had when I bought it developed into severe rod knock on the very short drive home. So after that, it was not going to kill anybody except just itself. Oh, I have to end the poll. That's right. Thanks, KCC. And we're up to 78% saying yes, it's going to make more than 300 horsepower. Let's hope so. So on that note, I've got to get going because I have Pontiac stuff to attend to. I have to see if that can go up on the dyno. I need to find the Pontiac flywheel, and the bell housing, I think, is a Bugel's Pontiac Chevrolet. I think that's kind of universal. So hopefully I can get that up there and find out, and maybe by tomorrow we can have some numbers. Thank you guys all for showing up, and I'll see you tomorrow. And we're dancing, and we're dancing, and